I wanted to do this video to put in connection the work I do with the current situation in the world. I mean, in Gaza, I mean, like 2 days ago, congressmen and congresswomen in a standing ovation for a war criminal, never talking about the 16,000 children that have been killed by USA bombs. So I want to be talking about my own point of view because, I mean, there are amazing freelance journalists who are, not the mainstream media, of course, but amazing journalists who are doing an amazing job, and they are really informed about the situation. So I'm not going to do a video about the situation because there are other people who are better than I to do that. But what I can do is that look at what we can do apart from taking to the streets and giving money and helping out UNRWA or helping out Palestinian families from Gaza, what we can do with ourselves, yeah? Because of course, my work is about emotional expression through photography, so it's therapeutic photography, it's emotional expression through photography, looking at the images in which we certainly don't like ourselves, and it's sometimes hard to even recognize ourselves, represent the multiplicity of identities that we all contain, yeah, because our identity is multiple, yeah, and this is a crucial point in this discourse. Starting to recognize in the pictures emotions, needs, thoughts, life experiences, values, so you take possession of this other in me, yeah? Also the concept of the other is crucial in this discourse. So we are living in a world in which people in power treat others who are not in power as non-humans or as human animals or as less valuable. Their lives are less valuable for them than the lives of white people, okay? So why is this? I mean, in my work, I've always been trying to do this, so guide other people to take these self-portraits, expressing emotions, not looking at themselves while they take the pictures, and then starting to, and then encountering this other and starting to recognize. And then, of course, because I'm an activist, I'm an artivist, what we do is that we exhibit these pictures. And why do we exhibit these pictures? Because other people can mirror themselves in our own emotions, in our own vulnerability. And this is crucial. I mean, this is very useful. It's not crucial because there are many other ways, but it is extremely useful to create the empathic gaze towards others, yeah? To see ourselves as humans. No matter the country, the race, the wealth that we have, no matter the color of the skin, we are all humans and we all feel emotions, right? So emotions are sort of universal language that everybody should understand, yeah? Of course, we live in a society in which society tells you, oh, do you have pain? Then take a pill, yeah? So instead of confronting your emotions, expressing them, and of course every emotion is connected to a certain human need, to an authentic human need, yeah? power and money are not authentic human needs. Well, money, a little bit of money, yes, but anyway, we would go into that later. Our emotions are connected to our needs. So certain emotions tell us that certain needs are not met or are met. Yeah? So we don't say positive or negative emotions, because all emotions are there for a reason, and all emotions are telling you something. It's like your body is telling you, your body and your heart, your mind is telling you something, is telling you that there are needs that should be met, yeah, or that there are needs that have been met. So emotions are precious. That's why we don't say negative or positive emotions, yeah? And therefore, when we create these images, which are artworks, because through SPEX, through this method, we trigger the unconscious creative process and we produce artworks. And these artworks contain a multiplicity of different possible perceptions and ever-changing perceptions. So what we do is that we look at these images and we see what we perceive on the two sides of the face, because the two sides of the face are connected to the opposite brain hemispheres, and therefore they express something different, because each brain hemisphere has its own goal, its own role. So our left side is connected to our right brain hemisphere, and it's the more emotional, the more vulnerable generally, yeah? Of course we can perceive differently, yeah? But the more emotional, the more introspective generally. And our right side of the face is connected to our left brain hemisphere, and it is more the side, not only the more rational, but it is the side of the goal and the strategy to get what we want, yeah? And we always see very different things. I mean, even on one side of the face, we can start seeing like sadness or despair, and then little by little see anger, and then see other things, and then see thoughts. So our perception changes. And the goal is that our perception becomes more flexible, and therefore we can see ourselves and others very differently. So this is perfect against all judgment, against all labels, against all stereotypes, yeah? And so often we label ourselves, like I'm a good person, you know, or I'm a bad person, you know. And in fact, the human psyche is just like an iceberg. And the tip of the iceberg is what we know, is the conscious part, is what we know of ourselves, you know, what we have decided to be in this life, yeah? But under the water, there is a huge part, which is the personal unconscious, and further away, the collective unconscious, where we're all united. The theory of the collective unconscious is Carl Gustav Jung who says that, because not everybody agrees with the collective unconscious, but in fact all the modern psychology schools, that the systemic psychology, for example, takes into account a system and says that each member of the system will behave according to what others do, yeah? Anyway, that would be another video on its own, so I'm not going to go in detail into that. But the fact that we are multiple beings, and that in the unconscious, so under the water, in this iceberg, there is the potential to be anything. Anything. From the worst to the best, okay? We all have the potential to be anything. Yeah? No matter our education, no matter what we've done until now, it depends on the circumstances, we could be anything. And the role of those who do bad things, I say bad things because, well, it depends on what it is, yeah? Those who do bad things are there to show us what we ourselves would be capable of doing, yeah? So if our life, of course we are here, all this philosophy is based on the fact that we're here to learn and to grow, not to just make a wonderful life without problems, yeah? We're here to grow and to learn, and it is a process of knowledge. So this process of knowledge can be enriched when we are in connection or look at others who behave differently, and that is really interesting to understand. That is the reason why I work in prisons, where people are there paying for their crime, and you can talk to them and you can see, and it's extremely interesting, yeah? Well, I myself, as you might know, if you have seen other of my videos, I have been a drug addict and a prostitute in my teenage years. So, and I was very labeled, and I suffered from self-stigma, and therefore I have created a method, the SPEX, which allows me to discover the multiplicity of my identities in order to discover my potential away from that stigma. Yeah? The stigma is always there, and I can use it because when I go to prison I can tell my story, and of course I can tell them, how I recovered from heroin and how I changed my life, Recovery is a process for life anyway, but in fact, I have created this method in order to discover the multiplicity of my identities, yeah, and this is a little bit of my message to regarding, especially for all of those people who are concerned about what's happening in the world right now, especially in Gaza. And why especially in Gaza? Because in Gaza, what is happening right now is such an imbalanced and asymmetrical. It's not a war. It's just a genocide, because the resistant fighters in Gaza don't have the means to. The different means and the difference in power is so huge that you can't call that a war with two armies, fighting. You can't. Anyway, we could be talking as well about power dynamics, and perhaps I will do that in the next video. What's really important is that, so again, what can we do? Because of course, we might have spent our lives, fighting for human rights, fighting for others, and taking care of others, and caring for others, and being empathic, and having this empathic gaze towards others, and voting to the left, and being, sensitive to what to other people's suffering, yeah. But even though we might have spent all our whole lives in this direction, we all have our dark, our shadow, yeah? Carl Gustav Jung also talked about the shadow, and it is so important to know your shadow. This is not me who says it. Carl Gustav Jung was the first one who talked about the shadow with this word, yeah? And knowing, and I call it, instead of shadow, I call it shit. And in SPEX we say that we transform shit into diamonds, because I will be, expressing extreme anger, and rage, and my mother used to tell me, you are aggressive and things like that, but in fact, the anger and the rage has absolutely allowed me to quit heroin and to recover from anything, not only from drugs in my teenage years, but and even my rage is also energy, yeah? So this rage, this anger is precious to me, but of course you cannot throw your anger, explode your anger to other people just like that. You need to know what to do with this anger, yeah? And in order to transform it, yeah? So what we do is that we express this anger, we create a beautiful artwork, of this anger, this rage, and then we study this picture, we listen to all the perceptions, our ever-changing perceptions of these images. And therefore, not only we are getting closer to our own emotions, but we are touching our shit and acknowledging that we also have our shit, yeah? So what I mean to say is that in periods like this, where war criminals are doing horrible things that, I mean, honestly, sometimes for me, when you see on a news channel, you see images of certain people who are committing genocide, for me it's even hard to look at those images. It's just hard, it just hurts, yeah, to see. Not only, I mean not, of course, the images of people dying and people being slaughtered, but I'm talking now of the war criminals. To look at them, it hurts. It hurts because it's so scary. But of course, it's too easy to point the finger. Attention, I mean, of course we have to point the finger and say war criminal, like Rashida Tlaib has done yesterday in the Congress, yeah, war criminal, and say you are a war criminal, you should be in prison, yeah. So we have to do that, yeah, because it's our responsibility, yeah. But what I propose is that we all look at our shadow, we all look at our shit. Because in fact, if you think that, if you believe that, yeah, under the water, these icebergs, yeah, all these human psyches, yeah, we are united in the collective unconscious, and knowing that this is the society of avoidance of the shit, yeah. And to me, this is connected, the avoidance of the shit, not looking at your own shit, is intimately connected to the far right, okay? Who is blaming the other, who is considering that the other is less, you know, than us, yeah? Or that we are the victims and they are the perpetrators and they are terrorists and so on. I got lost. So yeah, we are looking at our shit because precisely the people who tend to the far right politically are those who are not able to see their shit. Yeah, they don't even see that shit. They don't even see it. They have their narrative that allows them to avoid their own shit. And since this is the society of avoidance, yeah, if we are all connected to the collective unconscious, where does all that shit go? Yeah, it's filling the collective unconscious. But it has to come out. It has to come out. That shit has to come out. Yeah. And of course, we need a lot of people who are like a hub for the shit to come out. Yeah? People who are not afraid of their shadow. People who are, so for me, like, I'm going to try and be an example, of course, you know. I'm not going to invite people to let the shit out, you know, and not be an example. I have a video that I'm going to link in the description of this video, in which at the time of the first election of Donald Trump, I did a video in which it was, the name of the video, if I remember well, was, "In What Do I Resemble Donald Trump?" Yeah. So, and I was looking at how, what part of me, you know, like self-centeredness and arrogance or whatever, I was trying to see where I resemble Donald Trump, which is horrible. Yeah? It's horrible. Yeah? So, and now it's even worse, you know, to do that. But So that is a way to let out the shit, so that, you know, all that shit that other people are trying to avoid, you know, because not only the people who vote far right are avoiding their shit. It's just this society that works this way, you know. At school, there is no subject taught about the emotions, you know. I mean, I'm working with kids in the schools, with teenagers, and one of them said, "We come here to learn things, not to talk about the emotions," you know. So this has to change, and so we who are conscious of what's happening now, who are hurt by what's happening now, who are feeling the horror of what people in Gaza and the West Bank are feeling, and not only in Gaza and the West Bank, of course, it's in Sudan, it's everywhere, yeah? And the victims of colonialism. Those of us who are sensitive and conscious that this must change and ready to do anything to make this change, I invite people to, first of all, there is a workshop of mine, a SPEX workshop, starting September, so that is a possibility. But to look at our shit, to look at your shit and your shadow. Yeah? Of course, you don't need to publish this on YouTube, but I do it myself, and you can look at some of the videos and try to. Perhaps you can make some videos, just talking about your shit, you know. And before sharing them, you know, you can share them with people you love, for instance, or you can send them to me, or you can publish them, you know. But once you do that, you know, it's a sort of cleansing that concerns not only you as a human being, that you're transforming your shit into diamonds, as I usually say, but you're also cleaning up the collective unconscious. So I do invite everybody to do a sort of cleansing of the shit and admitting that we all have, you know, selfishness and arrogance or whatever, you know, and you know, it's really important, you know. In my video, Someone to Love, which is my autobiographical video, I talk about my envy of my sisters. Envy is very interesting because a lot of people, it's a sort of taboo to say that you're envious, you know, it's like not cool, you know. So doing all these not cool things, you know, and admitting your vulnerability is incredibly powerful in the sense that it's a cleansing of yourself, you know, and of course when you own all of yourself, including your shadow, you are far more powerful, far stronger, far healthier, even physically, you know? So, yeah, this is what I propose. And, of course, you can look at other videos of mine. I will just, have a look and see what videos I can recommend you in the description. And please like and subscribe and let me know your thoughts. And I will also post in the description the link to my workshop in English starting September 15th, I think, yeah. Thank you for listening and all the best. And free, free, free Palestine and war criminals to prison.